Barnaby Jones will return next Thursday night at 10, 9 Central and Mountain on most of these stations.
Please support the Word Balloon podcast by going to patreon.com/wordballoon. Become a part of the League of Word Balloon listeners. That's patreon.com/wordballoon. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's time again for another Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. Avatars abound. My own and our guest today, the great Dan Slott. Dan, welcome back.
John.
How you been, man?
I am like, I'm fried, man. I am a crispy little tater tot.
Well, we're going to take
that
you.
One odd-shaped Cheeto.
I was going to say, we're going to take you off the heat lamp and expose the world to what's coming today. And that's your first issue of Superman Unlimited.
Look at that. Look at that.
That's
so gorgeous.
Who did the cover, man?
Rafa Albuquerque, our regular artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw him at C2E2 briefly.
We are I see him regularly on WhatsApp as we are like burning the midnight oil on the next issue or two. This is you know, you do not screw up Superman.
I completely understand.
You put on your big boy pants.
His
you put
style,
on your big boy pants with the trunks on the outside.
As you should, absolutely, man. I'm glad they brought the trunks back. I got to be honest.
I am. Me too.
Good Lord. But I think seeing his art reminds me of when Lineal Yu was drawing Superman in a very complimentary way.
He also does this thing like from All-Star Superman, where you get this kind of like barrel-chested Superman and a barrel-chested Clark. And you get the shorter cape, and I like it. I like the feel of it. I look at it and I go, "There's that farm boy from Kansas. There, look at him. Love him."
Well, beyond setting up your book, you also go through and take us through the paces of Superman's life from being launched from Krypton all the way up to modern day, but great moments of his past as well.
This issue weaves in a primer that this is a character who's been around since 1938.
Yep. And
his origins and his first days on the planet and how he met different characters for the first time, it's all changed so many times, from Silver Age to Bronze Age to Crisis on Infinite Earths to
the
Zero, Zero Hours and Rebirths. And one of the things I wanted to do with this issue is that if you've never read a Superman comic before in your life, or if you're a regular DC reader and you're not quite sure where you're standing on continuity, that there would be built into the story, here's everything you need to know about Superman. That this was going to be a very new reader friendly issue, that anyone could jump in, anyone could pick it up. If you're someone like who hasn't been a DC reader and you're reading this because you liked my work on Spider-Man or Silver Surfer and you want to check this out, this will bring you up to date with everything you could possibly want to know about Superman. And the trick of that is, how do you do that in a narrative? How do you do that without it just being an info dump? And that's part of the fun of the issue. For me.
Yeah. No, and no, I think you framed it well. Again, today is the day that the issue comes out, so I feel
Ah!
like I kind of have to step lightly as far as spoiling any specific story elements, and
Thank
something
you.
like, can I bring up some overall changes within the planet daily?
Well, yeah, one of the nice things, I mean, I couldn't have asked for a nicer setup from DC Comics. That when we did our first issue, it's a 32-page issue,
Yep.
oversized. And in the past, when you've had a comic come out on Free Comic Book Day, and then that comic comes out later in the year, a lot of times they'll take the 10 pages of the Free Comic Book Day issue and they'll include it in the first 10 pages of the issue.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that I could reverse engineer the issue, knowing that you were going to open with the 10 pages of the Free Comic Book Day issue, it meant, okay, I can lead you all the way up to the cliffhanger. So a lot of people, if you didn't pick up your comic on Free Comic Book Day issue, or you read the 10-page free preview online, spoiler, there is a giant kryptonite asteroid heading to Earth. It is like a big starting inciting incident in the story. And it's kind of neat that, thank you, DC, making that the Free Comic Book Day issue, so that like a bazillion copies are out into the world.
Sure.
And also, if you read it and you liked it, hopefully you'll come back and try the first issue. Hopefully that was a nice Baskin Robbins pink spoon.
Well said.
Thank you. And that's the greatest free advertisement of all, is we'll let you read our first 10 pages for free in a nice little booklet that we're going to give you for free. That's just, I couldn't ask for a better tee up than that.
Earlier I was talking to Al Ewing, and I said, I'm going to record something with Dan today, and he goes, oh yeah, his first issue of Superman. He goes, tell him I'm all excited to read it. And he goes, what? He goes, how long has it been since Dan wrote for DC? And I'm like, I want to say more than 20 years ago. How long has it been, Dan?
It's been 20 years.
God
Marvel put me under exclusive contract, which I gladly and happily took, and they just kept renewing it.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm in very rarefied air that most people, they would have stretched their legs way sooner and jumped over to other companies and done other things. And I was just happy as a clam being over at Marvel. DC had knocked on my door 3 times during those 20 years. And each time they offered me a Superman title.
Wow.
Yeah. And each time I kind of went, because I'd be in the middle of a big Spider-Man arc, or I'd have like a Spider-Man milestone coming up.
Sure.
Like a centennial issue, or there are all these like, but like with any job, even if it's a dream job, like working in comics, there are going to be days where you have a bad day. There are going to be days where you go, oh, I hate my boss, and oh, I hate all of you guys, and I want to quit. And somehow I got through all of those bad days for 20 years. But there was one time when they were offering me the lead book on the Superman line, and they took me out to lunch, and like what we were saying earlier about the trunks, I said, like, if you guys want me on Superman, I have 2 conditions. And I threw out one condition, which was a very kind of officey political thing. And they're like, we're cool with that. And I'm like, okay. And then like, what's your other stipulation? And I go, I want the trunks back. And they said to me, Dan, Jim Lee has designed this new costume, or CCO, and this is going to be the costume in the movies and the TV, and you don't get the trunks. Would you be okay with trunkless Superman? And I was like, all right. And I was really I was thinking about it, and there were days where you'd have like one of those bad days in the office where I'd be like, "Oh, I'm going. I'm dropping everything, and I'm writing Superman for DC. I'm packing up my hobo bindle, and I am walking across the street." Oh, they made me so mad. And then one day, I get this call on the phone. It's someone like a bigwig from Marvel, and they're like, "Dan, we're calling you. We're calling Jason Aaron. We're calling some people. We wanted you to hear it from us first." I'm like, yeah, Brian is leaving Marvel, and I was like, oh, that's a shame. He's a force in the room. He's this creative genius that I can't imagine what our retreat's going to be like. We're
Sure.
talking, and when there was a lull, I immediately went, "I want Iron Man." But, well, that was because I was shopping around for a second book back then, because I knew I had told everyone I was leaving Spider-Man, and I hadn't. And Axel kept coming up to me and offering me books, and he'd be like, "Dan, how would you like to do Guardians?" I'd be like, "Nah." how would you like to be the guy on Deadpool? No. At one point, he was like, "How would you like to be the god of X? You could take over you'd be the dad of the X-Men line." I'm like, "Nah." I kept turning stuff down because I kept going like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I'm like, "I want to do Indiana Jones or Fantastic Four." And they're like, "We're not doing Indiana Jones or Fantastic Four." Well, so you want to do that? No. They just kept going, and I kept bringing up Indiana Jones and Fantastic Four, and they kept saying, "We're not doing it." And I was eating up all my time, and my time on Spidey was drawn to a close. I didn't have a book, so when they gave me that call about Brian, my mind immediately sorted through, what's Brian working on? Okay, yeah, I want Iron Man.
That's cool.
Because there was a point where we were in one of our retreats, and I was thinking, I am cutting this kind of close, and I know the characters I love, and I heard that Wade was leaving Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
He announced it at the table, and I'm thinking, okay, I know how to do this. I would love to write Cap.
Yeah, I'd love to see you on Cap. Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there going like, and I'm thinking, okay, so at our first break, I will go over and I will let the powers that be know that I would like Cap, and I will talk to my editor, and I'm running through like all the things you should do on a politic level.
Okay.
And Ta-Nehisi Coates was in the room, and he hadn't been to many retreats, and he didn't know about the culture of or the politics and the decorum and the way you do these things during a break and behind closed doors. And we're just sitting there, and he goes, "I'll do Cap." Like, just threw it out there into the room, and you could the way I saw it through my personal filter, and this is the way I always remember it, is I looked over to Axel Alonso, like I immediately I turned my head, and he had cartoon dollar signs in his eyes.
I get it. Yeah.
He's like, and he just went, "Done. Ta-Nehisi Coates and Captain America." Boom, boom. And I was thinking, oh God, I need to jump the second something I want is available.
Yeah.
And Iron Man was
great run. Great run, by the way, obviously, but go on.
Fantastic. And Iron Man was on that list. So that's why I said that with Brian. And then the Bendis is coming ad started appearing. With the shot of Superman.
Yep.
And son of a bitch, it had the tights.
I know. The trunks, yeah.
It had the trunks.
Yep.
And I'm like, it made me realize my place in the universe.
Oh, come on. Yeah, no, come on.
It clearly,
come on.
Clearly, Brian, had the same talk with these guys. And when he said trunks, you're Brian Michael Bendis, you got it.
You know what I told him? I'm like, what they should have done was make a big deal in Action 1000 and have like a quick 8-page or 10-page story of Superman in the fortress going through closets and drawers, and here's a ray gun. Oh yeah, I remember when Luthor used this on me. Or here's a shrinking ray. This is what helped me get in a Kandor that time, or whatever. And literally end with just opening a drawer and going, "Oh, there they are." And then the The final panel is him in the trunks and everything.
There they are. They were in that lead line drawer.
And Lois hid
Dang
them
it.
from me. I don't know why. She got tired of doing my wash. Too many skid marks in the trunks. Super scooper skid marks. Who knows?
Stop it! They don't.
She had to call Martha. How'd you get rid of that?
No,
Kryptonite detergent. Come on.
Stop it! You don't. You're putting air in the Batmobile tires, man.
Hey, and literally, Dan, I told Al, I go, one of my favorite stories, kind of reminiscent of what I just described. I go, one of my favorite stories that Dan did of Batman Adventures was when you kind of explained the need for the trophy room.
Oh, but that comes from character.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, but that was that's the kind of little nodule of history that you're like, oh, that's a great way of explaining. Yeah, that's why they've got the trophy room. Sure, Dick's a kid.
It's for Robin. Yeah. The whole reason Batman collects the trophies, it's not for himself. It's for the kid.
I get it. I get it.
And does he like it? Sure. He likes having the giant dinosaur.
Sure. The penny.
The big penny.
Sure.
There are moments, because I haven't been able to play in the DC universe 20 years.
Yeah, man.
And it's like, I mean, you come to every project with buckets. You bring in all these buckets of ideas.
Okay.
And there's a magic that happens at the beginning of the run where you just want to do everything. Yeah, I'm going to do the Hulk thing fight right away. I'm going to do my FF marriage right away. I'm going to have Ben marry Alicia. I'm gonna oh man, Spider-Man, I'm gonna destroy Kingpin's tower, and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, and Spidey's gonna get this job working at a lab, and you just come with this energy and these buckets of ideas, these things you've been dying to do for ages. With Superman, with the DC universe, it's not buckets, it's a dam. It's a 20-year dam where I am like, oh, I'm loving. See, now it's, I was worried about it being spoiled, but it's our issue 4.
Okay.
The issue 4 cover came out and it's gorgeous. The issue 4 cover, there is a time when you read like the Marvel Silver Age and the DC Silver Age. And at the time, the Marvel stuff was coming out, and it was all about character. It was all about the world outside your window and these flawed characters with, that had, feet of clay.
Yeah.
But they felt like people you knew, and they acted like people you knew, like from down the block, or your uncle, or your dad, or your grandpa. You knew the people in the Marvel universe. And then the DC universe, they were all gods and icons.
Yep.
They were all lantern jawed and perfect teeth and arms akimbo. And if you took away catchphrases like Great Row and Merciful Minerva and all these things, if you took these out of their mouths, put them all in a bus and drove that bus down a tunnel and it was pitch black, you would not know who was talking.
Amen. Absolutely.
And the way they countered it, like at Marvel, they were just coming up with all this, these character things and throwing your costume in a garbage bag, in a garbage pail, like how I'm so mad, or standing out in the rain.
Sure. Yeah. This monster. Yes.
And at DC, they were coming up with the most batshit crazy covers and then telling their guys come up with the story. How did Jimmy Olsen become a beetle in ancient Rome?
I remember that story. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Why does Superman have the head of a lion?
Or an ant, a big
ant. Yeah. And they were I have to buy this.
Yes.
I have to pick up this book and see how and why is Superman eating 1,000 hamburgers? And I want this book to have some of that energy, but
Okay.
modern day. I want there, but I know I can't do it 24/7 or it'll get old. So
Okay. Sure.
I'm pacing myself. I'm only going to do one or two of these a year. And the rest of the time, I'm just going to go, just balls to the wall, foot on the floor, keeping the gas on, just telling the best stories I can. But a couple times a year, we're going to go into that well of, well, now I have to buy this. Look at
Excellent.
that.
Weisinger nods. That's fantastic, man.
See, our fourth issue is standing on a rooftop in Gotham City. Somehow Superman has gotten like Kurt Langstrom's serum and he is Superman Bat.
Oh my.
I know. He's Superman Bat. Fantastic. I gotta read that. That's incredible.
Does he do the shriek?
You're gonna have to read the issue.
All right, fair enough. I understand.
I can't
That's
wait.
Great, Dan.
I can't wait for issue 4.
That's fantastic. Hey man, I'm telling you, I've seen the future. I keep quoting Albert Brooks. It's a bald man from New York. Actually, that fits. But I honestly I loved this issue. It was fantastic.
Oh, this, my marching orders for this, my personal marching orders, my thesis, my Jerry Maguire. What was the thing he writes in the beginning? Like
not his mission statement. His
mission statement, his manifesto is that. And one of the things that excited me when DC came a calling was, we want you to write this book, and we want you to write it right when the James Gunn movie is coming out.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I will roll the dice on James Gunn every time. I'm like, you know what? You sold me. I'm in Superman right at the time of the James Gunn movie. So my goal is, if you go and see this movie and you walk out of that theater and you are excited and you love Superman, you can pick up this book.
Yep.
And this book will hold your hand. Issue 1 will hold your hand and hopefully tell you this thrilling story, but along the way, get you to care about Superman as a character, who he is inside, and also show you his story, literally his life story, to get you up to date on everything you could ever need to know about Superman. I'm very, very proud of this issue. And everybody's contributions to it, all the gorgeous Rafa art and Michello's coloring and just everything about it. Dave Sharp's lettering. I am so proud of this unit of entertainment.
Who's your editor, Dan?
Paul Kaminsky.
Okay.
Yeah, and Jillian, and man, he's the one that was pushing me for, because when you get to the end of the issue, there's a couple of big developments for the DC universe. Mm-hmm. And there's a development specifically for Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that came from, Paul and I, button heads and trying to come up with different ideas, like how, what's going to bring you back next month. Yes, we want you to have this big full unit of entertainment, but why are you coming back next month?
Sure.
And I had something that when I originally pitched it, and Paul was like, yeah, that ain't getting through DC. You do not get to jump on board a DC book for the first time and do something that drastic. And they're like, you save it. You'll get there eventually. You'll get to do it. But DC has to trust you first. So yes, please buy this book in bulk so I get to like freak you out later.
there's a new character that's running the Daily Planet media conglomerate, and it's Morgan Edge's ex-wife. And what's her first name?
Oh, yeah, Imani.
Imani Edge. I'm showing for the audio audience. I'm showing a panel of Imani explaining what the nature of the company is now. Kind of a Disney ABC kind of situation where, again, it's the planet has become this multimedia company.
Well, she is going to. One of the things I want to do with the Daily Planet is when you have characters and they have jobs in the comics, and if those jobs in some way serve the public, we always see the most heroic version of that.
Mm-hmm.
If a superhero is a cop or a firefighter or a paramedic, we always see how that part of their life is heroic too.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to get back to that with journalism. I want when you'd see a really great movie about a journalist trying to crack a story.
Yep.
And stick to their ethical code and the code of journalism. That's thrilling. It's like, I don't like watching sports, but I love a good sports movie.
I'm with you.
And I understand the rules. And I get to see this idealized perfect game, whatever game they're playing. And it's the same thing with a good story about journalism. It's fictional. There are no journalists like that anymore in the world. There are no, Murrows. There are no more Cronkites.
I'm hip.
But wouldn't it be nice if there were?
Yeah. Dan, that's why I truly Clark Kent, George Reeves, Superman is one of the reasons why I wanted to be a sports reporter and everything. And even though he wasn't a sports reporter, but just because I news was too heavy for me. But I'm like, yeah, I could do this. And again, no, I grew up with that. You're right. This is the tradition you and I grew up with, where newsmen were respected because they had a code of ethics, and also they were trying to get to the bottom of the truth, which might be harder than ever in today's current world.
Truth and justice.
Yep.
And we live in a time where you get to cherry pick what news you want.
Yep.
And how that goes through a filter. And you will meet people that don't know some basic fact of something that happened in the world because it was so underreported and how they chose to funnel their news to themselves.
That's right.
And or some conspiracy theory, which they are now armed with so much bad faith information. This whole idea of I'll do my own research is a nice way of saying I'll avoid all the stuff that's unpleasant to me. And this goes for everyone.
Oh, no, you're right. It's equal on both sides. It absolutely
on both sides. That's something that is kind of equal, is that we do like to ignore the stuff that can possibly hurt our case.
Yes.
And it's going to be fun to have these characters try to uphold this kind of level of ethics when contrasted against certain things. You'll see that a little in issue 2.
Okay.
But it's not going to be the main focus of the book, but it is going to be when we check in the Daily Planet.
Well, just like when I like seeing Matt Murdock be a lawyer, I like seeing Clark be an investigative reporter.
Exactly. Like as much time as you would spend seeing Peter Parker be a photographer or Matt Murdock be a lawyer, that's when every now and then we're going to dip our toes in the pool of the Daily Planet. But for the most part, the Daily Planet will be a source for stories and a way to get to places. One of the things we're doing with this expansion of the Daily Planet is there will be a Daily Planet in every major DC city. So yes, in places like London and Paris and Rome, there'll be a Daily Planet, but there'll be a Daily Planet in Ivy Town. There'll be a Daily Planet in Gotham City, in Central City. There'll be a Daily Planet in Gorilla City. you will be able to look in the skyline and see that symbol of truth and justice.
I like it. Good evening. I'm King Sullivar with today's news for the planet. Back
John,
to you.
one of our characters who you catch a glimpse of in issue 2, and you'll get a better feeling for her in issue 3. She's on the cover to 1, is Sullivar's goddaughter. Her name is Tina, and she will be the new head of IT at the Daily Planet in Metropolis.
Wow.
From Gorilla City.
My goodness. And working in Metropolis. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
One of the 1,000 and forgive me for I'm not hating on monkeys, but 1,000 monkeys in a room, you put them in with 1,000 typewriters, eventually you might get Hamlet. So
well,
there you go. Tina Sullivan, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, she'll be the and put her in a room with Steve Lombard, who loves to play practical jokes.
Oh man.
Sure there'll be a lot of bananas in her desk.
Why is there blood in Lombard's cubicle?
No,
Christoph Sullivan's niece.
No, Tina would never do that.
See, but honestly, Dan, even saying that shows me, because again, Dan, you and I were close enough in age. We grew up with where it was like that Julie Schwartz era of hijinks in the Planet offices. And all right, what bad prank is Steve going to pull on Clark?
Yeah, and Clark is going to secretly use his heat vision to melt Lombard's souls into the carpet. I am so happy that I'm playing around in the Daily Planet. I am so happy that I'm gonna have Jimmy Olsen doing "What the hell was that?" stories, and and what a key focus of our book is this family, is Superman, Clark, Lois, their son John, and their dog Crypto.
Yep.
That's at the heart of our book. So sometimes we're going to spend time with the family. Sometimes we're going to be with Superman. Sometimes the story will start somewhere in the world at a Daily Planet. A story can start anywhere. Man, John, I get to play with all the toys.
Yeah, including Ma and Pa. And
Mom.
I'm so glad they're there, man, because that is the one wrinkle of the Byrne era that I did like. And I also loved it about the Lois and Clark, Terry Hatcher, what's his face show. I'm forgetting his name.
Wait, you talking Lois and Clark?
Yeah, the 90s Lois and Clark show.
Yeah,
not Superman and Lois. But yeah,
Superman and Lois is.
I loved it.
Oh my God, it's one of the best live action
really
superhero shows ever done.
I'm curious what you think, Dan. I know that these shows have to be ensemble shows, but I really didn't give a shit about Brad and Lois or Lana's family, and anytime and Beppo, Lois's buddy at the Smallville newspaper.
You're breaking my heart.
You're taking time away. You're taking time away from Superman, Lois, and the family, man. And I'm like,
I hear
sorry,
you, but we got to worry about who's Jonathan going to date and who's
yeah. But that was okay. Yeah, I didn't mind when Jonathan and now I'm forgetting the other kid's name, the other Jordan. I didn't. Right. Yeah, that was okay. But I don't know, man. Don't get me started on that. But what I liked about the Lois and Clark show was that Clark could go home and really have a serious heart to heart with Ma and Pa. And they were great. Those actors were. They
were. That was definitely one of the best things of the Lois and Clark show.
Yeah, and the Byrne era, frankly, that they were around still. And you can talk to them.
One of the joys I've had is really deep diving in all the Superman media.
Oh, sure.
There's just so much of it.
Yeah.
Since 1938, and so much of it has contributed to the overall mythos.
100%.
And stuck. So many things give a piece of the puzzle and create this giant thing, which is Superman canon.
Yeah.
Like whether it's the radio show bringing in Up and Away,
yes,
or
even this is a job for Superman.
To let you know the same actor was doing it.
Yeah.
All these bits and pieces of the Fleischers would rather draw Superman flying. Can he fly instead of leap?
Yeah.
You know, all these things that start building the pieces. And of course, sometimes along the way, they commit egregious sins. Like, I'm sorry, Mixes Plick, F you. It's Mixes Pitalik.
Yeah, that's what I've always said.
Mixes Plick. God, that just fills me with rage.
Where did that happen? Was that
Super
in the cartoon?
Friends. That
sure.
With Mixes Plick.
And also, I kind of liked how Bud Collyer in the cartoons would call him Mix Pickle, and then he'd get it wrong, and Mixes Pitalik would be like, "No, that's not how you say my name," and not to fake him out to say it backwards, but he really would call him Mix Pickle. You're Mix Pickle.
When I was a kid, and you know, like that zone where you take it very seriously.
Yeah.
Where you watch like the Adam West Batman show and you're worried how he's going to get out of the trap.
Absolutely.
You know, you're just taking on face value and all the other stuff is going right over your head.
Sure.
When you're that age, it became very important to me to know how to spell Mixes Pitalik backwards more than how to spell it forwards. Because if I ever ran into him, that's the version I'd need. So to this day, as a 57-year-old man, I can still go KLTPZYXM. I get without looking at it. KLTPZYXM. I can just do it that fast because I had to learn it. And when I have to type it out, in my head I imagine it backwards and I type it back, the backwards part backwards.
That's hilarious
because I know KLTPZYXM by heart.
I had a when I was 9, another 9-year-old that I was friends with that read comics. He kept calling Brainiac Brannick, and I'm like, no. Man, yeah, and I'm like, no, man, it's Brainiac. And he's like, we'll agree to disagree. I'm like, no, you're wrong, man. I'm like, I'm sorry. He's smart. Brainiac and
it's your same friend who calls him Magneto.
Yes, I did know someone that called him Magneto. God, Dan, thank God for comic book podcasting and talking to so many Bronze and Silver Age people as I have and others have. And it's like, all right, how do you, like, honestly, I don't know. I always said Raza Ghul, not Raisha Ghul. I got to be honest.
Well, it's race.
And I know, and I've now learned. Okay, and again, so I'm not, immune to it.
I am so happy. I will wake up in the morning so happy to be playing in the DC universe.
I bet.
Because when I came to Marvel, when I came back to Marvel, my second Marvel wave in 2004, and I got like the She-Hulk book.
Yeah.
I would get these assignments from Brevoort, like GLA and stuff like that. And I said to him, I think it was even before I was doing GLA, that I had a mission, and that my mission was I was going to make Squirrel Girl a thing. That she had not appeared in any other story other than her first story. She had been mentioned in other comics, but always as the butt of a joke.
Sure.
And I was like, no, she is not the butt of a joke. She defeated Dr. Doom in a Steve Ditko story. That's canon. That's her power. She can kick anybody's ass. And I'm going to make her a thing. I'm going to make her one of the biggest stars in the Marvel frickin' universe. This is my mission. And we sowed the seeds, and in the end, Ryan and Erica got her across the finish line, and I'm totally cool with that.
I hear you, man.
But I'm good. I'm very happy to be early rings in the tree.
Is there any?
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes.
Okay.
This is where this is going. Yes.
Go on. Go ahead.
There's a character I'm going to make a thing. I am going to take a DC character and I am going to make them huge.
All right.
They will be selling plushies of him within the next 3 years. He will be enormous. And whenever he shows up in an issue of Superman Unlimited, you better buy it, because those issues are going to be so valuable, because people are going to be like, wow, Slott brought back that character and Rafa Albuquerque drew the hell out of them. Oh my God, I can't wait to see Rafa draw this character. I'm going to make Ultra the multi-alien a thing.
Yay! Yay!
Astronaut Ace Arn. His body segmented into 4 quadrants, each the power of a different alien.
Oh, Dan, that's so great. Because, Dan, I asked Mike Allred. I'm like, Allred, this is a no-brainer. Clearly, I'm like, when are you going to do Ultra the multi-alien? He's like, who? I'm like, you got to be shitting me.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
like, my God. I'm like, it should have sprung for your forehead if it wasn't. Did Frayden originally?
Oh my God! If anyone, like Mike Allred drawn it, would kick ass.
Well, it's just a no-brainer.
Yeah, and you talk to like legends and pros, and they all who. They all sound like that guy at the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy when you say Star-Lord. Who?
Exactly.
It's Ultra the multi-alien.
Oh, Dan, you can hear the smile in my voice, Dan. That's fantastic. I haven't said he only 8 issues. I want to say of Strange Adventures or wherever he was. I want to say,
dear God, what a gift to the universe.
My God. Yeah. No, I'm with you, man.
We all wondered the same thing. We all wondered it because he has one leg was like a chicken leg.
Yes. And
one leg was like a bolt of energy. And we all wondered, how does he pee?
That's true. Really? Is the penis quadranted off for like the rest of his body? That's a good point.
Yeah, it would have made sense if it was like the blue and green parts down there.
One testicle is a bolt of energy.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work at all.
Man, that's why he's always angry, man.
Darn straight. I can't wait. I can't wait to do some Ultra the multi-alien. I can't wait to use like some of my favorite villains that have never crossed Superman's path before. There's so much to do. Part of the fun of Spider-Man was every now and then hitting these big stories and then having someone like a Tom Brevoort go, no one's ever done that with Spider-Man before.
Attaboy.
You know what I mean? Like, yes. How has the character been around since like 1962 and nobody's done that? Superman is proving to be a far harder nut to crack coming up with that stuff because he's been around since 1938. And I remember going to Paul, I got this great idea for this story, and this is going to happen, and this, and then Superman will go blind. And Paul's like, that's great. Yeah, no, he's going to have to do this, and this, and this. And they're like, has anyone done this before? He's like, oh, yeah, we did that like 2 years ago. But you'll have a different spin on it. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing this now. He's like, what do you mean? Someone does the Superman goes blind story every like 10 years. I'm like, oh, Jesus. It's been around since 1938. It's really hard.
Well, mentioning the Golden Age, I wonder if there's room for a return of the Ultra Humanite, because I can't remember the last time Superman faced the Ultra Humanite, frankly.
He's the gorilla, right? The white gorilla?
Well, yeah, he became the gorilla. Yeah, I mean, he's transplanted his brain into several different villains over the years, including the white ape. But, originally, it really was the template for what became Luthor when Luthor was still a redhead in those early Schuster issues. Ultra Humanite was the big, bald, mad scientist and everything. And I know he was in Earth, and certainly, with Earth 1 and Earth 2, was considered more of an Earth 2 Superman villain. But, dude, I mean, there's the goofy Superman cast of villains. And it would be, I mean, I was thrilled when they created Mongol. And it's like, all right, because we need more powerhouses. But it'd also be great to see on an intellectual level some of the villains that you might put Superman against.
There's some characters that they're DC heroes, especially the bigwigs and their rogues galleries, they have some buttes in them.
Sure.
And I think there's no denying that the winners are the Batman rogues and the Flash rogues.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
But in the Superman pantheon of rogues, there's some that you don't change a thing. They're perfect. Your Luthors, your Brainiacs, your Zods, Mxyzptlk, Bizarro.
Sure.
There's so many guys out there that are like just leave them be. Let them be who they are.
Sure.
And tell the best stories you can with them, because they're just wonderful. They're beautiful. And then there are guys where you're like, I got to take on you. I think I got to take on you. I'm not going to do it within the first 6 issues, because I want to build up a momentum and I want to build up trust. I want you to know, like, when you pick up your issue of Superman Unlimited every month, you're getting these goods, and they're going to be there for you. And you're going to feel happy, and you'll either make it the top of your stack or you'll save it for your last. That's all I'm aiming for that.
Are you going to do like you've done in other books and stuff? Are you going to do the occasional one shot and the occasional 2-parter? Or
we're gonna try really hard for the first trade or so. Trade. I hate saying that.
I'm hip.
We're gonna try really hard to keep it down to done in ones.
Okay.
And 2-parters.
Okay.
I really want there to be a lot of jump on points.
Sure.
For people. And if you like, I want people to be able to go to the comic shop, and when people are mulling around, that if you're not picking up Superman Unlimited, I want those people who are reading it to love the hell out of it, and that they're going to be talking about it near the rack, and they're going to be happy, and you're going to be like, I want to see what they're doing. You're going to be like, I'm sitting there watching Meg Ryan eat that omelet. I'll have what she's having. I want you to be that person. I want you to be Rob Reiner's mother, and you're gonna try Superman Unlimited if you haven't so far. So I really want to make the first, like issues 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, they're all done in ones, but it's building to something, and then issue 5 and 6 is our first 2-parter.
Okay.
And have that kind of energy for a while before we start doing more multi-part stories.
Is there a lot of coordination between you and the other Superman books?
Yeah, because we're doing this. You remember the old Saturday Night Live sketch with Dan Aykroyd with the ad for the thing that's a floor wax and a dessert topping?
Yeah, new shimmer, a floor wax and a dessert topping. Absolutely.
You're like, we kind of have that kind of guiding principle that there's the 3 Superman books.
Mm-hmm.
They're all floor waxes and dessert toppings, that each one's going to have its own flavor. But if you get all 3, oh, hey, I get this full fleshed out Superman universe.
Yep.
That I would love it if people were buying all 3. But you're going to get different flavors, and the Action Comics with Mark Waid, those are going to tell stories of Superboy.
Yeah,
they're going all in on Superboy, having adventures in Smallville and finding his way to one day be the Man of Steel.
Sure.
So you're going to follow the Boy of Steel in these adventures in Smallville with Mom Pa. And then you're going to get our book, which is your Superman and Superman family core book. That this is what Superman is doing, and these are the adventures that are happening to Superman, and these are the things that are happening, like the kryptonite problem that's going to happen. You're going to see that play out in other books. It's not happening in a vacuum. But that's something that grows out of our book.
Okay.
And the Daily Planet and all these different cities, that grows out of our book. And people can play with that in other books and in other things. But there's going to be this energy of, here's the Superman book, if you want your Superman. And with Josh's book, Superman, you're going to get, there's a momentum that's happening at DC right now. And you see it with the Absolute books. You see it with a lot of their top titles.
Yeah, the all-ins.
All-in of it all. It's all moving in a direction. And guys like Scott Snyder are conducting the orchestra. And it's all going into a glorious place. And there will be big epic storylines in the publishing spine of DC Comics. That's the all-in vibe. And Josh has been working hand in hand with Scott. So
yeah,
if you love that DC momentum and you want to get caught up in it and see how that all plays out, that's the Josh book. The Josh book is the Superman book that's caught in the currents of and the momentum and the fun of what's going on with DC All In. And you're going to have all kinds of stuff going on with the Dark Legion and stuff in the future, and stuff that ties into things I can't talk about.
Okay. Yeah.
Secrety things. That's going to happen in the Josh book. But if you want to go, you want a mainline Superman, you want Superman, and here's Superman and Lois and John, Crypto. This is that book.
That's cool. That's great. Before I ask you about what's happening with whatever you're doing in Marvel, are you and Wade, would you call yourselves, are you guys collaborating or competing? Because I have not heard anyone this excited to be back at DC since Mark was let back in the door. And obviously, people
Mark
know.
Mark was genetically engineered in a lab to write Superman and to be sitting like on the happiest chair in the DC universe.
Sure.
Sitting there like a little Metron kind of floating around. He's so happy.
Sure.
And I grew up a Marvel boy.
Yes.
And that was like my first love. But when you grow up on Earth, this little planet we're all part of,
yes,
it's really hard not to go, here's my Mount Rushmore of superheroes. And Spider-Man can be on it, but you can bet Superman and Batman are on it.
Sure.
There's not a kid on the planet that doesn't grow up going, Batman's that super cool guy over there, and maybe someday I could be Batman if I trained really hard. And Superman is the greatest superhero of all time.
Yeah.
So I've been wanting to write Superman stories forever. So this is fun. There is no competition at all.
Okay.
There's this vibe at DC, which it really is everybody lifting everybody else up. And everyone going out there and just trying to do their best.
Sure.
I really feel I had such a good time at my first DC retreat, and I really like the way Marie Javins runs that ship.
Okay. Can you compare the two, Dan? The Marvel Summit to the DC retreats?
Yeah, they're very different. There really is this kind of at Marvel, especially like during the Joe Quesada era,
mm-hmm.
there was a kind of fun of, wow, these guys are really throwing down. Like, wow, Jeff Loeb is really trying to knock out Brian Michael Bendis. Bendis is throwing a nice left hook, and oh, look at that.
I remember the whole Sorcerer Supreme argument, if I remember correctly, of who should replace Doctor Strange after the Hulk crushed his hands.
Oh, is this the Brother Voodoo?
Yes, Voodoo? Exactly. Yeah, Dr. Voodoo. And it's like, and again, I know it got, which is good. You want good, heated debate.
Oh, yeah.
Of course
no.
You do.
I agree with you. There's merits in both. It's all very different. One of the things that was weird for me is I walk into that retreat and hey, look, there's Jason Aaron and Al Ewing.
Sure.
Matt Fraction. What is going on here?
What are we all doing here? Exactly.
What are we doing here? Yeah. They're like, we're gonna have Kelly Thompson call in. I'm like, what?
No, that's truly, Dan. It is great. So, what is your status? Are you now DC exclusive? Are you not exclusive to
Oh
either
no,
company?
I am thoroughly enjoying the freedom.
Okay, good.
I've got some really nice offers that would blow people's minds, from different companies, and talking to people at Marvel and talking to people at DC. And I am using all of my willpower to say no to everything. It is so hard as a freelancer. It's so hard to say no to things because you always remember the lean years when
Sure,
you were chasing everything down.
sure.
But I am fully aware now, much like crypto, if I chase after a car, I will catch it. So I have to be very careful. I there is like a licensed thing that I love, and it's not Doctor Who.
Okay,
So a licensed thing I love that is not Doctor Who.
that's where my brain was
And
going. All right.
they came to me and they said, "Would you like to do X, Y, and Z?" And I was like drooling, and I was like, "Huh." And they're like, "How would you do it?" And like, I'm really no, I no. I'm gonna stick to my guns, and I'm gonna focus on Superman Unlimited, and I'm gonna get 6 issues in the drawer before I say yes to anything else. I'm gonna have a nice cushion
Okay,
of before I start trying to get back up to two things a month,
okay,
and or maybe do like a create your own thing, or but
good.
I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna say no. But just when you're talking on the phone, I sound like, it'd be weird if you did it like this. The brain can't stop, and
Of
you go
course.
like, if you did it like this, then you could do this and this and this. That is interesting. And then they're on the phone, go, see, you've already got it. You've got the book. I'm like, no, 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 no. And then I get a call a couple weeks later going, we were talking to the license, and we told them you were interested, and they pitched my like 10-second pitch that I came up with on the spot, and they're like, the licensor loves it. I'm like, fuck off.
I understand.
Because
I understand both sides of that, man.
yeah, because you're like, oh, I would love to do that. And
Will they wait for you for 6 issues?
yeah, but then right now the toy chest is open.
Yeah.
And there are things I want to do, and there are things I want to do with different creators, where we love working with each other. And I would love to do a creator-owned book, and I would love to do work on that character I've never worked on before, or that DC character I've never worked on before, or maybe do a sequel to Arkham.
I
Or
was going to bring that up. I'm glad you mentioned Arkham, one of the last things you did for DC before you
yeah,
left the last time. Yeah,
I had a sequel ready to go.
I remember that. Yeah.
And there's great ideas in it, and I love it. And so it's like there's all these options, but I've got to be good, and I've got to stay narrow beam focus. And right now, my energy and my passion and everything I want to do is this book with Rafa, and I want to get it to a point where we're all comfortable and the thing can just come out when when we're ready.
Sure.
So that's the goal. I want to get everything to this spot. It's a very exciting time.
Is you were telling me off the air, you're wrapping up Spider Boy, right?
Yep, I turned in my last notes on the lettering for my last issue. Today I turned in the last of the lettering notes. I just looked for typos and things, or if we tweaked that word here, this would be better. And that's going to be sad to see that go, because that was the book I never planned on.
Yeah.
That was, we pulled this character out of our butt where in issue 7, we had this gag where we'd unraveled Spider-Man from the web of life in Destiny. We had to put him back, and we'd done the same thing to Jessica Drew. So we knew in the wrap up, of course, we were going to bring Peter Parker back as Spider-Man and reweave his history. And of course, we were going to do that to Jessica Drew. But it felt weird in a world of, like, you usually have 3 beats to go, we've brought you back. We brought you back. And it felt like there should be an extra beat. And we had a lot of people complaining that we weren't using Ben Reilly enough. Well, not Ben. We weren't using Scarlet Spider.
Oh, okay.
Kane, and
Kane.
And we left him out of this Spider-Verse story. And I said, it'd be funny if we bring back Kane as the third person, and you find out that he'd been unspun from the web of life and destiny for so long that people forgot he was in the first few issues. He was not in the first few issues. But that was going to be the gag. And we liked it. And we did that. And as I'm working on the plot, I go, what if we take the gag one step further? Because you'll have someone go, oh man, Kane, we're so if we waited too long, we might have forgotten you altogether. And then a fourth being appears. Oh, thanks for reweaving me. And they're like, who are you? And then they go, I'm so-and-so. I've been here forever. And we didn't know who that character was going to be. And one of my many pitches for that character was Spider-Boy and Spider-Man's sidekick. And we found out that, like, yeah, we could have the rights for that name again. And then immediately legal, and everyone loved it to death because it meant Marvel would own something they hadn't owned before.
Sure.
And suddenly it was all Spider-Boy, Spider-Boy, Spider-Boy. And then that issue, we were going to continue to use Spider-Boy on and off in the monthly Spider-Man book. But that issue became Marvel's best-selling single issue of the year. And David Gabriel went to the Spider office and went, what is your plan for Spider-Boy? We're like, we don't have a plan for Spider-Boy. And they went, you do now. You're doing a monthly book. You're doing it as soon as humanly possible and getting it out ASAP. And it was like, it was so weird. Because I usually love planning things out to the nth degree.
Sure.
And the fun of Spider-Boy became, it was a book by the seat of your pants. And I knew I didn't want him fighting A-list characters. I didn't like the whole feeling of child endangerment.
I hear you.
So then that became, well, he'll get his own villains. And they can't possibly be A-list. So we're going to do the goofiest, fucking freakiest, dumbest ideas on purpose. So we had Gutterball, the bowling alley bandit who had a giant bowling ball for a head. And we had Professor Emilio Helio, the balloon man.
Yes, indeed.
Who could only breathe helium, so he always talked like this. We just kept throwing these stupid characters, and that was the fun of it. And suddenly it was just like a joy to do. When he was in the Spider-Man book, it would be more realistic.
Sure.
And he'd be helping out Spider-Man, but Spider-Man still had him promise not to go against A-listers, and he'd fight guys like Mirage. But and then he started showing up in other places. Spider-Woman the Spider-Woman book wanted to use him, and now like he's in Amazing Spider-Man on and off. So it's weird that this character came out of nowhere, and now he's got a Funko Pop and an action figure and a statue coming out.
Nice.
So it's weird. We're in a day and age where comics, mainstream big name from the big two comics, only go up to like issue 5 or 6 and then see if people like them, and then they get an extension
Yes.
to 11 and 12. And then it's really hard to get something past 11 or 12 these days. And here you had a character that, like Spider-Boy, we're at 20.
Yeah.
The only reason we're stopping is I'm leaving to go do Superman.
I hear you.
So it's like, oh man, we created something with equity that's around and alive. And I love this little kid. He's adorable. I love the costume design by Humberto Ramos, and Bailey designed by Humberto too, for his first solo adventure. I love all the energy and work and passion that Paco Medina has put into this book. He is now one of my favorite collaborators to work with. I'm really gonna miss working on Spider-Boy.
I respect that. Absolutely. No, that's great, man. Well, and of course now the interesting thing will be if there is someone that comes forward and says, "Well, I got to take to continue it."
Well,
And beyond being a side character,
I would not be surprised if we kept seeing Spider-Boy.
Pending announcement.
We'll have to wait and see
if something,
if you know what happens after Spider-Boy Volume 1.
Interesting. All right.
So there you go.
Very cool. All right. Well, I know you told me to keep you to an hour or so we can wrap.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
I'm doing a signing today. If you're in New York,
please tell people.
If you're in New York City, I will be signing at Midtown Comics, the Grand Central. Midtown Comics, not Times Square, Grand Central, not downtown, Grand Central. Midtown Comics, Grand Central. We will do a Superman Unlimited #1 signing, and there is an exclusive Dan Mora Superman Unlimited Midtown Comics cover. It's gorgeous.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, no, I'm very excited. So that's today, Wednesday, New Comic Book Day. I just, please check out this book. It's me. I finally get to write Superman in the DC universe.
Exciting stuff, Dan. Yeah, man. No, I don't blame the squeal. I hear you, man. And again, I think people who have listened to this hour know that you're just bursting with ideas, and that's great. And I'm glad you're very deep focus on Superman for, get up to 6 issues. And it'll be interesting to see, what else is coming.
I can tell you what else is coming, because like what I was saying before, like I need to build up your trust as a reader to get to issue 6, because I want to take this one character that is rarely worked, and I've got a new take on them, the prankster.
Oh my.
And I was recently at a con with Frank Miller, and I'd never met or talked to Frank before, and we were hanging out at the airport. And we were just gabbing, and here I have this great resource, Frank Miller, and I'm asking him, like, his takes on Superman, and because of Dark Knight Returns, and
of course,
and we're talking, and he was like, so what are you going to do with the Superman book? And I told him my plans for the prankster, and Frank Miller snorted and then laughed when he heard the take we're doing. It's messed up. I can't, but I gotta earn your faith first, so that when you see prankster in the solicit, you don't go, I'm not picking up that.
Is he still shaped like a beach ball?
You're gonna have to read.
I understand.
You're gonna have to wait half a year, because I want to show respect to the lore and the canon, but I would like to go some new ways, especially with the prankster, and when people see what we have in store for the Toyman, and other DC characters in the Superman lexicon. I am very much looking forward to when we finally pull back the curtain on Beppo, Super Monkey.
Indeed.
So I'm really looking forward to this.
Outstanding. I like the name check of Titano in your first issue.
In the first issue, yeah.
So yeah, exactly. No. Dan is well versed in the world of the Kryptonian, and he will help us guide us through a very interesting, I think, story arc for Superman moving forward in this great new book, man. That I'm glad they gave you your own title, man. Superman Unlimited.
Oh, it's me and Rafa and Marcello. So
Attaboy.
I'm loving the team.
Beautiful, man. Well, again, expect us to, hopefully we can reconvene before the end of this year and check in and see how things are going as you get closer to issue 4 and also Ultra the Multi-Alien. I'm very excited to hear that that's part of your plan, Dan.
Oh man, he's gonna have to be in the second block of 6 too.
All right, that's fair. That's cool. That's all right. Excited, Dan. Way to go, and good luck with this.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me on Word Balloon.
100%. Thanks everybody for watching and listening, and we'll see you with another Word Balloon Live coming your way this week. Gabe Hartman and I are going to talk Westerns.
Ooh.
And we're going to take a focus on a great screenwriter, a decent director. He was kind of 500 as a director. Burt Kennedy, who did Support Your Local Gunfighter and Sheriff with James Garner. He did The War Wagon with Kirk Douglas and John Wayne. He wrote some of the best Randolph Scott 50s Westerns ever and died under very mysterious circumstances. It's a hell of a story. Gabe Hartman, Jeff Parker, and myself will be talking about that on Word Balloon Scene Missing coming later this week. So I hope you'll join us. Until then, everybody stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.